Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today we're going to create a pop-up card, and this pop-up will be on the inside of our card. I'll show you a really quick technique to create this design. We'll also be using a lot of products from Art Impressions, and I'll show you how to use a double stencil set to create this pretty rainbow confetti background. So let's go ahead and get started. So to create the card base, I've got two pieces of Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and they both measure 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm scoring that at 4.25. So that'll give us a standard A2 size card. So now along that score line on one of the panels, I'm placing some purple tape. So I'm going to mask off the top part of the card, and we'll be doing some stenciling here on the bottom. I've got the Lawn Fawn Confetti Stencils. This is a two-piece stencil set. And in order to make sure that you have these both going in the same direction, you can just look for the little Lawn Fawn logo there at the bottom. So I'll line these up right on the corner. So I'm on the right-hand corner, and I'm just going to make sure it's lined up nice and straight. I've placed this on my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station, and that'll just hold it in place while we do our stenciling. So for colors, I'm using the Kitsch Flamingo, Squeezed Lemonade, Salvaged Patina, and Tumbled Glass, and these are the Distress Oxide inks from Holtz. So let's go ahead and start off with the pink here. I'm going to just start in that upper left-hand corner and just kind of work my way sort of on a diagonal across the card. So we're creating a kind of a pastel rainbow here. And I'm not using all the colors, just 4 colors. And that'll give us a really pretty blend. So we're the yellow and pink blend, and then we've got the Salvaged Patina and that yellow blend. So we're going to get some extra colors in here as well. And then the Tumbled Glass and that Salvaged Patina will give a nice blend. You can go ahead and just kind of blend those right into each other. Then I'll remove that first stencil, and let me grab the second one. So again, I'm looking for that logo just to make sure these were going in the same direction. And I'm placing it right back in that corner again on the right hand side. And again, I'll just place those magnets down, and I'll do that same technique again. So I'm just going to blend these 4 colors together. And again, this will give us a really pretty pastel rainbow effect. And I'm just using my Hero Arts blending brushes to blend all of these colors together. So let's finish up with that Tumbled Glass. Now I can go ahead and remove the stencil, and you'll see how beautiful this is. I just love that. It's so pretty. So let's remove that purple tape, and that keeps the back part of our card nice and clean. So now let's go ahead and do the inside portion of the card. I just wanted to continue that pretty pattern onto the inside. So we're going to be stenciling the top of the inside of the card. So let's go ahead and mask off the bottom section. And I'm again using that purple tape. And now I'll just line up that stencil along that right hand corner where the tape is, along the right hand side as well. So again, we'll just repeat that same procedure that we did on the front of the card. So that's the first section, and then let's go ahead and repeat that for the second part. Again, lining it up in that corner, and now we've got the inside finished off. So let's remove that purple tape. Let's just fold the card here on the score line. And now you can see how that's going to come together. So let's set that aside for now. And let's grab the stamps we're going to be using today. I'm using the Art Impressions Front Porch series. So this image here is the main image for the front porch and the front door. And then there's add-on sets. And this is the Front Porch Party set. And you can see all the cute little images you get in here. The balloons, the banners, a little party welcome mat, all kinds of cute little items. So we're going to go ahead and stamp all of these items. And I've placed some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock in my Misty stamp positioner. I'm using the Versafine Onyx black ink and my STAMPendable stamp press here just to press this out quickly. And now we have all of our little images stamped. So let's go ahead and start our coloring. I'm using the platinum brown, and I'll be listing the colors of the markers in the upper left-hand corner as we go along. And these are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and I'm using the Zig Blender pen to do my blending. So I've placed a little bit of that platinum brown just along that top edge of the porch there. And then I'm going to blend that a little bit and then come in with some little shadows of color. Just placing it kind of in an L shape along the left-hand side and then pulling it across. That'll just give a little bit of dimension to this front porch. And then I'm going to just follow the lines along the bottom and then just pull it off to the right-hand side. Now, if you get a little ink where you didn't want it, like you see I did there, you can just pick it up with your blender pen and scribble it onto your scrap paper. Just keep going back to that ink as often as you need to and pull that ink off and scribble it onto your scrap paper. And then you'll get most of it off. You can always use your sand eraser later if you don't get it all. Now I've got the light gray and I'm adding some shadows here and there along the trim work and the window frames. So I'm going to just kind of, again, just adding a few shadows here and there just to take away a little bit of that white. Now you could come in with a darker gray if you wanted to add a little bit more of a shadow here, but I decided to keep it on the lighter side. So I'm going to stick with that light gray. Now once I have that done, I'm adding a little shadow there to that doorknob. And let's come in with the light pink. I decided that I kind of always wanted a pink front door. Don't ask me why. Don't judge. I just think that it would be fun, but my husband looks at me like I'm crazy every time I say that. So I think the closest I'm going to get to that is to create that on my card. So I'm going with the pink front door, kind of going with this pastel theme. And keep in mind this area is a little bit larger, so take your time blending it out. Make sure you really spend some time blending your colors here. Now I've switched over to cobalt blue, light green, yellow, and peach pink to do this little banner. And I'm kind of placing the color up towards the top and then pulling it down. And I'll just alternate those colors all the way across. And then I came in with the light gray just to add a little bit more shadow up at the top of that banner. So now I'm just going to alternate all these colors again to color in my balloons and the rest of the items. So if any of you out there have a pretty pink door, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear if you're happy you did it or not. It would be fun to someday maybe give it a try. I don't know. I've considered it, like I say, many times. And every time I think I might, I kind of chicken out in the end. So I know it's just paint and I should give it a try maybe someday. So I'm going to finish coloring these and I'm just adding a few shadows here and kind of pulling on this blue one. I'm just kind of pulling that color over just a little bit. Now we will add some more highlights to these with a white gel pen in a minute. And so don't worry too much. If your shadowing isn't perfect or your blending isn't perfect, we can come in with that white gel pen and add some highlights here and there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just supposed to be fun. Just enjoy the process. These little images are really quick and easy to color in. It doesn't take any time at all. And you can see on those little party hats, I just added the color off towards the left side and then I kind of pulled it across. And then for that little banner there, I added the color in the four corners and then pulled in towards the center, just leaving that center area fairly light. And on these packages, I'm going to just add some, again, just a few shadows here and there. So I just want to remind you again that you do need the front porch door set to get started. And then you can purchase the add-on sets as you go along. So this one is the party set. And then there's a couple of brand new ones. The Christmas, Halloween, and Fall just came out recently. And prior to that, there was the farmhouse set and the garden set. So check those out. They're really fun, and again, they all interact together. Let's finish coloring up this little celebrate sign. I'm just placing the color off to the left and then pulling it over towards the right hand side. So here I'm just adding the color to each side. I'm pulling in towards the center, and let me give you a closer look at all of our little items colored in. So now let's grab the coordinating dies, and I'll tape this down with some purple tape and run it through my die cutting machine. And I'm using my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine. So now let's create a little area for our sentiment. So I've got my oval double stitch dies. I'm grabbing the two smallest ones here. And then for this pink cardstock, this is the Lawn Fawn textured dot cardstock in the pastels. And then I've got a piece of Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock there as well. So I'll run these through the Sizzix Sidekick die cutting machine. And these will have that pretty stitch border all the way around. So now we can go ahead and stamp our sentiment. I'm placing that small white oval in my Misty stamp positioner. And I'm just adding a little bit of tape there just to hold it in place because I think my magnets might get in the way there. So I've got the Art Impressions Baby Critters set, and look how cute this is. All these cute, adorable images. But we're going to grab that sentiment that says Big Birthday Wishes. Now what I wanted to do is go back to those 4 ink pads we used earlier. And to do this, I'm using some little sponge daubers. And I'm going to ink up this stamp in all 4 colors. And what I'm doing is just kind of pouncing that color on one at a time. And I want a little bit of overlap on each of those colors. So now I'll go ahead and stamp that, and I'm pressing that out with the stamp press. Now it's very light because the colors I chose are so very light. So I'm going to stamp this a second time. So I'm just repeating that process of inking up little sections of this stamp all the way across, just getting a little bit of blend on each of those colors and then pressing that out one more time. And you can see how pretty that is. So let's go ahead and grab this sentiment, and we'll also grab those 2 balloons that we colored in earlier. And I'm using my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen. This is a 0.1 millimeter pen, and this is a permanent pen. And what I'm going to do is just draw a little string on the balloons here. So I'm just kind of figuring out about how long I need that to be. I'll just draw a little squiggly line there. Now let's go ahead and attach the sentiment. So I'm going to glue these 2 together. And then we'll go ahead and pop up the sentiment. So I'm going to use some Scotch foam mounting tape to pop this up a little bit. I'll just cut some small little sections of this and place them all around the back. That'll keep it up nicely as it goes through the mail. I'm removing the backing on the tape, and then we'll just center this on our card. So it's easier to draw the strings for your balloons before you attach this. It's just easier to get down behind there. So now I'll go ahead and glue down the 2 balloons. And then once I do that, I'm coming back in with that pen, and I'm going to add a few little strings off to the side of each of those balloons. So now let's go ahead and take a look at our card. So I've got that insert just placed inside there. And you can see that because this cardstock is very thick, it's a 100-pound cardstock, that inside card is going to be just a little bit long when you fold your card. So you want to check for that, and then you can just slice off a little sliver there. I like to use my Tim Holtz paper trimmer when I do this. It's the best way to cut off just that little slice. It just perfectly cuts off just about 1/8 of an inch is what I'm cutting away there. So I checked it and cut off just a little bit more. So now you can see that'll fit right inside the card. Now what I want to do is create the pop-up mechanism for the inside of the card. So I'll go ahead and center the front door on the inside of the card, just above that fold line. And now I'm going to mark with my pencil right in that little corner there on both sides of that doorway. And then I'll mark just below it, just lining those two little markings up on the top and the bottom there. And then what I'll do is fold my card backwards on itself. So I'm just going to fold this back. And now I'm just going to cut from those two pencil marks. So I've got one on the fold line, and then I've got one up above that. So I'm just going to cut a straight line, and that's about a 1/2 inch that I'm cutting there. And I'm using my Tim Holtz scissors to do that because I'm cutting through 2 pieces of cardstock, and I want one nice cut all the way through. So now I want to create a score line from cut to cut mark there. So I'm going to place this in my We Are Memory Keepers trim and scoreboard, and I'm going to score from cut line to cut line, and that's about 1/2 inch. And I just want to press down really well just to make sure I get a nice score. Now I can fold that back, and then I'm going to fold it the other way as well. And I'll press that out nicely with my bone folder just to make sure I get a nice crisp line there. So again, I folded that back and forth just to make sure that my pop-up mechanism works very easily. So now I can close that card again, and you can see that little pop-up piece pops right out. So it creates a little square there. So let's go ahead and just press everything out again just to make sure that it's going to fold nicely. So now we have that little pop-up piece. So let's go ahead and just double check that front door fits on that perfectly. So now we can start adding some of the elements here to our door. And you can see there that when we die cut this front door, it die cuts all the little window panes, and it also creates a little interactive door there. That door opens and closes, which is really cute because you could pop a sentiment in there. You could pop any of your little critters in there. It would be really cute to have something poking out of there. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to just end up gluing that shut, but certainly that's an option if you want to get creative with that as well. And again, look through your sets and see what else you have. All of these work together really well. The scale is going to be perfect for any of the other doors. And there you can see where that door opens and closes. So now I'll add the rest of my little pieces here. And I'm gluing everything flat because this is going to be on the inside of my card. I didn't want to pop up anything here. You certainly could if you want to, but I'm going to keep all these little elements flat so that my card folds nicely and will still fit in my standard A2 size envelope. So you've got that cute little banner for the front door. And then I'm going to put these balloons off to the right here. I wanted just to get a little more dimension there. I wanted to bring the eye up a little bit. So I'm going to have those up there. You could certainly have them coming up off the top of the roof as well if you want to get more height and dimension. But for this card, we want to keep everything down low because this is going to be on the inside of the card. And when we fold our card, we don't want anything sticking out the top. So now I can go ahead and pop this card together. So now when you place your glue here, You want to avoid that little mechanism there. So we're going to go right around these flat portion. We're going to fill that in with glue. I like to glue one side and then the other. So I'm going to place this top section in place. Make sure that it's pressed down nicely. And then what I can do is fold this down flat and place the glue on the rest of this. Again, avoiding that little pop-up mechanism area. And I'm just using the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to glue everything here because it's a nice strong adhesive. And the glue gives me a little time to move things around if I need to. So now you can see that. So let's go ahead and add our front porch, and I'm going to place it right along this little pop-up piece. I want to place plenty of glue there. I'm just pressing it out with my finger just to make sure I have it right along that edge. And now I can pop this front door in place. Now you'll see that my front door does pop up over the top of the card there just by a little tiny bit. I'd say maybe about 1/4 of an inch. So it's still going to fit inside my envelope just fine. But you could certainly cut away that little excess if you wanted to. Or you could cut a little bit off the front porch before you attach this. So keep that in mind, that you want to make sure anything you're putting inside here doesn't pop up too high over the top of your card. So now I'm going back to that front porch set, and I'm going to grab that sentiment. And that is for the inside of my card, and it says, "Have a blessed day." So I'm going to ink that up just like we did before with the other sentiment. I'm using my little sponge daubers, and I'm using those colors in that same order we used them before. And I'm just kind of pouncing that color on, and then I'll go ahead and stamp this. So I did die cut another oval for the inside of my card. And let's go ahead and edge this with a little bit of the pink, the Kitsch Flamingo pink. I didn't want to add another layer of the pink cardstock in here. Again, I don't want too much bulk on the inside of the card. So I just edged it with my sponge dauber, and we'll glue that right down here on the bottom section of the inside of the card. Now, again, as I mentioned before, we're going to grab that white gel pen, and this is where we can add our highlights. On the balloons on the front, I'm going to add some stripes to that little heart-shaped one, and I added some polka dots to the blue one, and then I'm going to add the rest of the highlights on the inside of the card. So this just takes a few seconds to do, but makes a big difference, I think. Now I'm grabbing a sequins mix from Picket Fence Studios, and it's got all these really pretty colors in here, and I'll list and link all the products I'm using today down below and also on my blog. And here I've grabbed that really pretty pink gem and then 2 little crystal sequins for either side, just to add a little sparkle. So let me give you a closer look at the finished pop-up card, and you can see how cute this is. Now you could certainly add some other things to the sky in the background there. You could add some more balloons or some clouds, whatever you want to do here. Just have some fun with this. These are really quick and easy to do. And you don't need a special die to do these little pop-ups. You can just use your scissors. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you give this a try, and I'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.